Greetings, right, Nonymous here. To continue our Ataru regressions and kind of investigations into how this stuff is actually working. Wanted to start out with probably the most common and most useful, and probably the most well-known, Jung which is the rotation around the waist, or in the transverse plane, as we say in human movement science. So, what exactly does that mean? Well, Jung is the power that is created by two things. Rotation through the waist, and I'm using a stick here just to show that, and that's through here. I can accelerate the end of the stick by using my rotation here. Just like that, right? Okay. The other way that you can look at it is it also resists that motion. So the power that you create by twisting from the waist should also be equal to the amount of power that you can resist in the waist. And that comes from actually making contact with things. So when I do, say, a side strike, even with a stick here, okay, I have a little bit of turn. But really what's going on is when I hit that target, this contracts, everything's nice and stiff so that it doesn't move. All the force of that movement is going into the target and it's followed through. Now, you can follow that through to continue the spins, and that's what a lot of the Ataru exercises are there to do, or to follow through. Now, as I said, Jung Suma is something that happens in a lot of things. And most of the suma are really, the idea is that they're all happening simultaneously in everything that you do, just in different amounts, okay? So the Jung Suma that is probably the most common exercise that people are doing out there is the falling leaf. And that is pretty much just stepping here and doing a leap around, okay? Now, if you remember, the footwork for that is a leap is jumping from off of one foot and landing on the other, okay? Whereas a hop is staying, on one foot. So there we go there. Okay, so the falling leaf, as the exercise goes, as you see, we step around here, we then jump up and try to turn and land there, okay? Doing them in sequence is what you see, right? And you don't make sure you have enough room as you're doing it. But you don't necessarily have to do it all the way jumping up there. As you see, I was doing it pretty low. You can also add a kick, where that one is in the form where through here like this, and then you just add a kick through there. When you see that, it's often called a tornado kick. So that's where you throw that kick in there. The falling leaf kick is what we call it. Of course, it's exactly the same motion. So if you cannot do, as I can no longer necessarily do very well, the kick portion of the falling leaf, it is perfectly okay to omit it. Omitting that kick isn't going to make a huge difference when you're wielding a weapon, especially a lightsaber. So keep that in mind. The kick does add a little extra difficulty to it, but again, that's totally up to you. So you can see that you can do this rotation with a lot of air in a jump, with a hop, a leap, anything of this sort. The motion is the same. The motion really is just this here, right? This will give you your throws, your swings, all of your basic motions come from a Jung Ma type of rotation. Okay. Now there is also, of course, the other three motions. Now I mentioned earlier that this talks about the transverse plane, so we're really focusing on this transverse plane. When you're training, this is the plane that we get injured in the most. So train it well. That's another reason for the training of the spins and turns in Ataru, is to help us get this particular movement pattern and this plane of motion down nice and solid, so that we can produce a whole lot of power and we can do pretty much what we want to do and continue to remain mobile, so we don't have to hunker down and then start moving again. We can use the movement there. If I want to turn, I can turn. If I don't turn, it just becomes this, right? But that's the same motion. Okay, so with the footwork, it can help you remain much more balanced when you turn. Okay, a lot of times as people turn, especially when they start out, is they end up kind of getting back on your heels, right? Falling leaf Jung Ma allows you a little strategy that allows you to kind of regain your balance, maybe reset yourself, but you got to make sure that that jump is up high, right? So if I'm here, when I go here, I don't necessarily want to lean like this and go up like that. I want to jump up straight, and I want to kind of turn that way, okay? If I can't jump that high, it's a simple matter of just taking a little step and making that little leap, that little hop. Well, not a hop, but the leap from here, boom, to there, okay? And that's essentially the motion. So when we're doing it, if you can't do the full falling leaf sequence, you can just do it very small like that, in a high stance, just working on the kind of deftness of footwork. As you see, as I'm coming here, and it helps you kind of keep your eye on the target that you're looking at, right? Doing it more and more and more, you'll get dizzier. That will help you fight that off when you're moving in free play, that kind of thing. When you get into what the jump is actually good for, then you're getting into some really abstract type of concepts and things like that. So don't worry too much about the jump. The important part is that we want to get this hop going pretty good and straight up so that we can move forward here like this, and that we can land in a good stance, and we don't have to worry about falling back on our heels or anything like that. So that would be like the first level of learning the Jung Ma. After you learn that and you get good with that, skipping just here, add a little bit more air, and then you can start lifting that knee more. So when I come up here and I lift the knee up, then I come down. Then you can start putting them into series, right? So here, there, right? And again, adding, layering, and layering, okay? You can take this all the way to doing the really acrobatic kicks up like that, but it's really not necessary, right? If you do it, that's fine. But like I said, all it takes is one injury, like me, and all of a sudden you can't do them as well. So it's not necessarily the high points that we're looking to judge from. We're looking to judge from the very basics, right? What will happen when you come down? Do you still have skills? Do you still have those skills? Do you still have those basics, the foundations that made it possible for you to do that thing up at the top? Or did you just be able to learn a trick and now that you can't physically perform it, you don't know exactly how you got there in the first place. So these are the questions that you have to ask. Okay? All right, so there you go. Jung Suma, the first Suma that we're looking into. Most of it's going to be mostly for footwork, learning distancing, being able to pick targets, all of that kind of thing. Totally okay to omit the kick. Totally okay to do it low to the ground, to do it short, to do it small. All right? So, again, don't be intimidated by Ataru. Just because Yoda did it doesn't mean Qui-Gon Jinn didn't do it. So, until next time, practice safe. Have a great day. Happy sabering.